first time I've had this thing on the lift. So obviously we're working on the old Pulsar today. I may have accidentally got some more mods for it, but it kind of forced my hand on the issue, and I'm not gonna complain. So I got this thing not too long ago, been driving it like every single day because I absolutely love this car, and the rear caliper started leaking, and I was hoping it was from the line, but it's not. It's from the caliper seal. It's leaking pretty bad. I may have driven it a little more knowing it was leaking, just topped the brake fluid off because I couldn't help myself, but since then it's been sitting for about 2 weeks while I kind of got the parts together to fix it. And you know, we can't just fix it. Why would we just fix it? We got to upgrade it. So that's what we're doing. We're doing a brake upgrade along with a handful of other upgrades as well, because, you know, while we got it in the shop, we might as well take care of some other stuff. So anyway, let me show you the brake stuff first. We'll get into that first and the other stuff once we're done with that, because that is the biggest priority. So we've got a Wilwood big brake kit for the front, 11-inch kit, Wilwood 4-piston calipers, brackets, lines. It comes with Wilwood pads. I'm gonna try these out and just see how the brakes feel. If I feel like I need more, I'll put some track pads on it. Oh, I forgot one thing. It's a Motul RBF 600. Good brake fluid is crucial. It's one of the biggest things. Your fluid boils, you got no brakes. So for track stuff, we need some good brake fluid. We got that as well. And then the rear, so the caliper is leaking. Because it's a JDM car, you can't really get just a replacement caliper. That is the biggest pitfall, and the one thing I hate about JDM cars. Like, it is so hard to find parts, and it's random stuff. Some stuff crosses over, cakes. Some stuff, not easy to find. So anyway, basically figured out a hodgepodge of stuff that should work. So we have Infinity G20 calipers, we have Maxima caliper brackets, Sentra SER rotors, and then pads for a Sentra SER. I'm gonna have to re-drill the rotors. All this other stuff should fit, and the benefit to this is now we'll have all USDM parts in our rear brake system. So therefore, if we have any issues down the road, we should be able to just get a replacement as if it was a G20 or a Maxima or a Sentra, or all three. So that is what we're doing. That's step one, the brakes. That's, again, the most important thing. Even without the brake leak, the brakes were definitely a real limiting factor on this car, especially after having such good brakes on the Subaru. This is like kind of the polar opposite. So I'm excited to have some decent stopping power. So yeah, let's get into it. Let's get the front and rear torn apart, and then we'll start trying to slap all these parts on. Oh gosh, almost dropped it. There's our leaky caliper boy. Gotta use this as a template for our other rotor so we can re-drill it. But I'm gonna get the other side torn down first, and then we'll start drilling, and hopefully we can make these other rotors fit. I'll explain why we gotta drill them when we're drilling them. All right, got the whole rear brakes off. Both sides went super smoothly, honestly. Okay, so most Nissan stuff is 4x114, so 4 lug, 114.3 millimeter spacing between the studs, basically. However, our Pulsar is 4x100, so it's basically a tighter bolt circle. You can see how these do not line up. Now that's cool, because another car that's 4x100 is a Miata. I have a Miata and a ton of Miata wheels. That's how I got these RPF ones. I had them for my Miata. So that's cool, but it doesn't share it with any of its Nissan brethren, or not most. I don't know of one that it does share with. So moral of the story is we have to re-drill a lug pattern on here that is the 4x100 that we need. Before we can fit the rotors, since they're bigger, we gotta cut the lip of our dust shield off here. All right, it's good. It's on there all the way. I'm gonna clean up the edge of this, go ahead and cut the other side, go ahead and re-drill the other rotor. Basically do all the same things, and then we'll be able to put the brakes back together with the new stuff. We have our G20 full calipers with bracket, but we're not gonna be using these brackets, we're gonna be using these Maxima brackets. It's a hodgepodge. Sweet. I mean, everything seems to fit. Caliper's loaded. I'm gonna load up the other one and then we'll try to pop them in. All right, let's see if we can throw this mess on. I already brake cleaned the rotors here. Freaking perfect fit. That's gonna work. Just can't get to the top one with any sort of power tool. Gotta use this peasant hand tool stuff. I don't even know how to use these anymore. Why does it click? Dude, I'm stoked that all this stuff is fitting. This is like some old forum post and then a comment on the forum post. The guy like broke down all the different stuff that works together. Shout out to that guy. Made my life a lot easier. Shout out to forums, dude. I need to bring forums back. And not Facebook forums. One downfall of power tools, you don't get a great sense of if the bolt's cross-threaded or if it's just tight. Whereas a hand tool, you can really tell. All right, we just got this brake line left. If this goes on, it's like the easiest hodgepodge brake swap I've ever done. We got new copper washers, dude, we're pimping. Well, that went far better than I could have hoped. I mean, obviously we still gotta bleed it and hope it works, but they're on there. I'm gonna go toss the other side on. I'm hyped, dude. That's sick. This is like gonna be the hard part. I mean, the front might be harder than I'm thinking it's gonna be, but the front should be easy. And I should not say, why would I say that? Why would I do that to myself? All right, let me knock out the other side. All right, rears are all done. Wheels are back on. I am so stoked that all of that stuff fit. Such a hodgepodge of stuff, and it freaking worked. I am so happy with that. It's a 10 or a 10.2 inch rotor stock, and these are 10.8. So it's a bit bigger pad, bigger surface. It's a bigger brake setup for the rear, which is how I justify doing a bigger one for the front. So anyway, now we can move on to the fun, fancy Willwood kit on the front here. So we just got to get this stripped down, and Benny Boy's here. Whoop, whoop. Ben's here, and he's got the Subaru, so once we get it done and bleed the brakes, we can go back rows of rip the all-wheel drive cars again, and this time I'll have good brakes, which is exciting. So, yeah, enough jibber jabber, let's get to work.
Also down pieces.
This is why it is nice to keep hardware on deck. M10 by 150 bolts work because for some reason the adapter kit didn't come with enough bolts. The factory bolts are a different thread pitch, or at least they appear to be. It might just be that they're gummed up, but we got new ones. Oh, I only got 2 though. Shoot, I need 4. I should have enough, but I might have to cut these other ones down. Yeah, anyway. Moral of the story, lesson of the day. It's nice to have new hardware organized and ready to go because it comes in handy. All right, pads are in, calipers are in, lines are hooked up, rotors are on. Toss the wheels on, make sure they still fit good, and then bleed the whole system. All right, so far this is not going great. You have to like shim the bracket. We've tried shimming it multiple different ways to get it to fit. Basically, once we get it all in position and tightened down, it all locks up because the caliper is not centered. Let's see if third time's the charm. All right, it's spinning. Aha, that's what it was. We had to shim between the bracket and the knuckle. All right, brakes are bled. Wheels are all back on. According to Benny Boy, the pedal feels good. So I'm excited to drive it. We'll have to bed the brakes in, but everything's good. Everything clears. Everything spins like it should. Everything seems solid. They bled out well. We've now got nice RBF 600 Motul fluid, so we shouldn't have any issues boiling our brake fluid. Pretty solid brake overhaul. I'm really excited that that went as smoothly as it did. Pretty simple dang procedure. So I think while it's daylight out, should go rip it, bed the brakes in, have some fun, and then do the other upgrades. Sound good? always cool to see both these cars together, because the only reason I was able to justify selling the Subaru was because it was going to Ben, and then we'd both have fun turbo all-wheel drive cars. So time for a good old rip. All right, Ben's riding along with me on this rip just to feel the new brakes out.
Probably better than the Subarus.
I highly doubt it. So far, not great.
You gotta bed them in first.
Yeah. That was better. Felt better on the foot. We gotta figure out whatever that noise is. Oh yeah, that's a lot better. Because that was a lot less pedal effort. Okay, yeah, that's solid.
It's probably this thing thinking you're not getting in a wreck or something.
Oh, yeah.
Because
True, yeah. No, that makes sense. Yeah, that's good. That's like about what I was hoping for. Like stronger, but not like too sensitive either. Oh, yes. Oh, now I'm hyped. I thought that was going to be a big letdown for a minute there. Solid. This car needed it. This is something this car really needed, and I was like, I'm going to wait. I'm going to track it first and see how the stock brakes feel, see if I'm even pushing the limits of the stock, yada, yada, yada. And then the car forced my hand, and now here we are. Now we got big brakes, which is like one of the only things this car needed. It does need more power, and it will be getting that, but... So here's my current catch can setup. It's got two big 10AN ports, big old filter on it. This is a really good like race car catch can where you don't want anything going back into the engine. You're at high RPM all the time. It's vented off the crankcase down here, valve cover here. It's just kind of a mess for a street car. I'd rather it recirculate back into the intake and get burned off because it's a street car. It's gonna just get driven around a lot, not just be getting thrashed a lot. So I have my favorite catch can, this Mishimoto carbon fiber one. Now what I love about this one is a lot of them you gotta thread it on. That one I've got to take it off out of the car to clean it. This one, that's it. So if you mount it in a reasonably decent location, you can easily get to it to check it and clean it. So I want to put this one in there and recircuit. Now most of this is easy. The hard part is to recircuit. We need to weld this onto the intake tube because we need to recircuit into the turbo, because if we go into the intake it'll cause a vacuum leak. It'll just be sucking air in from here. It doesn't work. So this needs to go into the turbo. So got to figure that out. But I want to see if the hodgepodge of fittings and stuff I got are even going to work. So we're going to try that first. See if we can even get the lines hooked up, because the lines are pretty big for this catch can. So my point is to kind of retain these lines. We only have one in, so my plan is to run this to a T here and then run just this hose to the catch can. We don't need two 10AN sized breathers, we only need one. I was just worried that this fitting wouldn't fit with how this is recessed, but it fits, just barely. So we'll be able to make that work, and then we're gonna run a 3/8 hose off, boom, back into like right here basically. So yeah, sweet, now we can start taking that one out. Let's see how much is in this thing.
A lot.
I don't think so. Virtually nothing. Basically, whenever the PCV does shut and the boost pressure is going into the crankcase and all that's going in there, it just spits all the oil that collects in the filter out and around and makes kind of a mess. So I've got these, which are called transfer punches. So they thread in and then they have a little punch in. So we'll put this where we want it, tap it with a hammer, and it should give us basically our starter holes to drill through, just to make things a little more accurate. Seems good to me.
Hit the hood, so. It's a tough line, I'll tell you that.
I was like, dang, that's a clean cut.
Not great. My terrible hose cutting.
There we go. Nice and hidden.
Not too bad.
That's reasonable.
It's all pretty well hidden too.
Yeah, the T's hidden. Sweet, that actually worked out well. Take 2 out. We got it marked where I need to drill a hole, so put our fitting in. All right, got it welded up. It went okay. Part of it was smooth, part of it not. Kind of an awkward position, but I mean, hey, I wrinkle blacked it anyway. Worked out perfect because since it was hot from welding, the wrinkle black wrinkled immediately. We're back in business, boys. Let's throw this thing back in. Oh, you got babies sometimes. That beautiful line routing. All right, last fitting to tighten. Look at that. All right, check it out. Came out, honestly, about as good as I could have hoped for. We got our T. The T is kind of perfectly hidden by the intercooler pipe. Comes up here, line's not kinked. And then we've got our vent line back to our welded fitting, which is gonna draw into the turbo. So the turbo, in theory, the way this should work, this catch can, the Mishimoto catch cans are really well baffled. They have like really fine screens in them. So it'll get most of the oil particulates out and they'll stay in here. And then ideally only oil vapors will come through here, into there, and then get burnt off by the engine. So again, I just think this is a better setup for a daily driver kind of car, like a car that's just gonna see a lot of mileage. This car is gonna get tracked, but it's not a dedicated track car. If it was, I would have kept just the big old catch can and just serviced it constantly. Whereas this shouldn't fill up as much, and now I can just easily pop it off and dump it if I need to. Like I said, this is like my favorite catch can I've ever used. I love those. That's actually exactly what's on the Subs. So yeah, nothing left to it but to go rip it. We got the boost turned up a little bit. Finally got the boost controller working right, and it's should be like 12, 13 pounds. Feeling a little peppier. All in all, solid. It's time to go have fun. Oh, we made it back from the drive. Everything seems pretty solid. The car is pretty well sorted. Those clips are still grinding on the back brakes. Definitely gonna have to address that. It's driving me freaking insane, but for now it works. All the brakes work. Everything works good. The brakes feel really good. They're about exactly what I was hoping for. They're aggressive, but they're not too insane. I do need to put a check valve in the booster line when you're in boost and then you go to get on the brakes. It's like manual brakes for a second until the vacuum builds up. So I ordered one of those. That's one thing I got to do. I'm stoked. Pulsar is ready for a track day. If it passes the test of the track day, it'll be ready for the Dragon, as well as the Subaru. We know the Subaru's sorted. So exciting thing. When I got this car, I was like, I'm an adult. And I put a recirculating blow-off valve back on it. I put this really nice, it's a really nice Cobb recirculating blow-off valve, because I was like, atmospheric ones are inefficient and silly. And we were talking about how something I've learned with his 240 and then the Pulsar was that the noises a turbo car makes are like more than half the fun. And that was the one department this car was lacking because it had a recirculating blow-off valve. Well, I remembered it came with an HKS super sequential blow-off valve. Now we spent about 30 minutes digging through totes and we found it. So we're gonna put this one on the Subs and see what she sounds like with a blow-off valve. I'm excited. It's gonna be sick.
It's gonna be sick.
So yeah, that's exciting. So Pulsar upgrades turned into Subaru upgrades. The other funny thing is he didn't even realize that it was tuned on speed density. So he was like, oh, I'm gonna do it and just deal with it stalling. But it's like he doesn't even have to deal with it stalling because it's tuned on a map sensor instead of the map. So all around exciting. We're gonna get to hear how this thing sounds, but we gotta finish it up first. So it's a snap instead of the compressor surge or something. I don't know.
It's definitely better.
Definitely not what I was expecting, but I still like it.
Yeah. I had to weld aluminum so I can make her fit.
Yeah, so it doesn't quite fit with the hood, unfortunately. You can probably see the hood scoop poking up. We made it fit for now, just for a test drive. We're gonna swap the other one back on before he leaves, but we had to hear it.
Yeah.
We had to know. Oh, that sounds cool.
It was real slow.
It might be leaking out of there. Well, yeah, I guess that's gonna be it for this video. Good times, Pulsar is ready, firm, drag it. Thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing. Goodbye. Okay, just kidding. We decided to we had to put the cob back on and we just didn't put the recirc hose back on. It's a little bit of boost. Yeah.
This is a big one, boys.
Yep, sounds good. Okay, this time, goodbye for real. Thanks for watching.